What up, Clay Triots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny St. Louis, Missouri. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm having a wonderful morning so far. It is, 7 a.m. here. I got my coffee. I got my backup coffee, and I'm ready to go. Um, since the last time you saw me, I went and canvassed for Cory Bush yet again. Um, Not gonna lie, this canvassing was terrible. It was awful. um, it was clearly about to rain. I was really hoping that it wouldn't because according to my weather app, it said there was a 0% chance of rain after noon. Um, and the weather app lied. There was definitely not a 0% chance of rain afternoon. In fact, it started raining pretty hard afternoon. So I was out there, uh, canvassing in the rain. I had an umbrella, but I ended up breaking the umbrella in my car, which was another like, man, fuck this, And then most of the people, at least at first, weren't very receptive. So there were a couple of people that I influenced, I think, to go out and come out and vote on August 4th. So, I guess there's a little bit of a win there, but yeah. And then when I was coming back to drop off the rest of the stuff, a car almost hit me because they were blasting through a red light in a pedestrian heavy zone of St. Louis. So yeah, so that was no fun. I don't know what I would have done if I had to have like medical bills on top of like my cat's cancer treatment and all this other shit that I'm paying for right now. So but Cory Bush is for Medicare for all, which that would help in that particular circumstance. In the quantum alternate universe where I got hit by that car, Medicare for all would definitely be a nice to have. So canvassing, like I said, didn't go great, but it's whatever. I was also just probably in kind of a bad mood too. So then picked up some comfort food, got some poke bowls for me and my wife, and then came back home, ate those. I did end up beating Ascension 9 yesterday off stream. Obviously, the one run that I had going on stream that I thought was going to do it. This is in Slay the Spire 2, by the way. The one run that I thought was going to do it, I got Doormaker at the end, and I swear if I had anybody other than Doormaker, it would have been, game over. But unfortunately, I didn't do it on stream, so I guess it didn't happen. It'll happen the next time I do a gaming stream and I'm on Ascension 10. I'm going to get it one of these days. Let's see. That's for Ironclad, by the way. And I watched the last Stargate. I'm on like season 9, I think, or something. I can't remember how many seasons there are. I thought there were like 11 or 12 or something. So, I'm getting close to the end of Stargate, but then we got Stargate Atlantis after that. So I'm just going to be in the world of Stargate for a while now. And then, yeah, I just went to bed, woke up, and then made some coffee, did a couple chore things, and then came right over here. I think I was going to clip at least the one full run from yesterday, but I guess I don't know. People probably don't care that much to watch Slay the Spire. Maybe I won't bother. But I guess I don't know. It's also like if you want to get new audiences and stuff to come and watch you, like even if it doesn't necessarily mesh with your existing audience. Like for instance, my main thing is doing politics, but I also like to game, and I'm like I want to be able to do both on here on my stream. So so I don't know. Maybe I will just go ahead and clip it. It's not like YouTube limits how much you can clip stuff, so why not? So I'll probably clip it at some point. Anyway, today's just going to be and then okay. So let's see. I made my coffee. I came up here, and I came up here to be with you, the viewer. Hello. Now, today's just going to be a normal everyday stream. We're going to go over some news stuff. I'm going to be honest, it's a pretty slow news day, I think, compared to, most of Trump 2 so far. There's obviously always something that you can find to cover, but so I'm thinking, hopefully we'll get a little bit more fun stuff. I promise you, I'm going to get to Rogansphere Drama Slop today. Okay, I won't skip it, no matter what, for you, the viewer. Even if I have to go long, I'm getting to Rogansphere Drama Slop because I know that's what the people want, and so that's what I'm gonna give you. Okay, let's go ahead and get right into it though. So, starting with, we are going to start with a small amount of Iran content. Like I said, there hasn't been a lot of updates on Iran. Nothing really came from the Trump-China summit. China didn't make any commitments or anything to ending or like, pressing on Iran to end the war. Iran, as far as I know, has been, peppering the UAE with missiles and some boats that are not allowed to go through are being seized by Iran occasionally. And the double blockade is still on. Oil, I know oil in particular, like global oil supplies are getting real low. Like the extra the stockpiles that we have or whatever are getting real low. And once those are completely out, there will probably be a huge supply crunch that like hasn't necessarily been priced into the markets yet. So there's that. But anyway, the most recent news that I saw, this is from 45 minutes ago, was this is from Fox News. It says breaking: drone strikes generator at nuclear power plant in UAE. So I do think that Iran is probably the one responsible here, but let's go ahead and watch this video and see what they're talking about.
Yeah, guys, good morning.
Oops. Oh, okay. No, it's good.
We do start with some breaking news out of the UAE, where officials say that a drone attack against a nuclear power plant caused a fire at a generator on the outskirts of the facility. This is a significant attack and likely conducted by the Iranian regime. It comes as tension continues to rise across the Middle East as the region waits to see if the war will resume in the days ahead.
Yeah, the UAE has been, incredibly hostile towards Iran compared to the rest of the Gulf states, which are no fans of Iran by any means. But the UAE has been pretty actively involved, I think, in the military campaigns against Iran. I think they even used, I think they may have even launched some airstrikes from their air bases and stuff, if I remember correctly. So out of all of the countries, the UAE is by far the most directly involved in the war, but so it makes sense that Iran would be targeting them to punish them for being so heavily invested in the Israeli American pedo billionaire war against their country.
So far, efforts toward a diplomatic solution with Iran have been unsuccessful, with officials in Tehran unwilling to make the necessary concessions to reach a deal. President Trump spoke on his return flight from China, indicating he didn't like the first sentence of the Iranian response to the U.S. peace proposal.
I looked at it, and if I don't like the first sentence, I just throw it away. What was the first sentence? Unacceptable.
Fuck you, Donald Trump. That was the first sentence. That would have been a power move if they did that.
Because they fully agreed, no nuclear, and if they have any nuclear of any form, I don't read the rest of it.
So 20 years is not enough for you. It's got to be a permanent.
No, 20 years is enough, but the level of guarantee from them is not enough. In other words, it's got to be a real 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, they offered basically the same thing that they've been offering the whole time. They wanted, I think they may have said they are willing to negotiate on the nuclear issue, but they want in the short term American bases off of the soil of their neighbors. They want full sanctions relief, and they want to set up a tolling system in the Strait of Hormuz and have complete and total sovereignty over it. And then, like I said, the nuclear stuff, I think they said that they would be willing to negotiate on after their initial demands are met. So Iran's proposals, honestly, have not changed in the slightest, except for maybe loosening slightly on the nuclear stuff, because I think they probably think that if they might be able to get all of their other stuff that they want if they agree to some form of like JCPOA style nuclear deal where the inspectors come in and like are verifying their that they're not accelerating their nuclear enrichment towards a bomb or whatever. If I had to guess, that's probably what they're doing. And it just shows that like they do feel like they're in a good position. They don't feel like they need to capitulate very much. They feel like the global energy supply, especially I heard early June is when there might be like a price spike as the prices have to be like brought back to reality, because a lot of the pricing of like the stock market for sure, but even the Brent crude index and all that is very much tied to like hope, like the hopium that like Donald Trump is going to somehow solve this problem, which is a bad place to put hopium in my personal opinion. But once the reality sets in that these that our stockpiles are drained in their entirety, and some of the facilities that house our stockpiles have to be shut down, which they take a long time to get back up. And and there's just a huge shortage, blackouts in Europe and all that sort of stuff, like rolling blackouts. It's like at that point, the world isn't going to be able to like go along with Donald Trump's, extended timeline of just indefinite closure of 20% of the of the oil for the world. It's just not going to happen.
And on Saturday, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group returned to the United States after a deployment that was the longest for the U.S. since the Vietnam War. Now, Secretary of State Pete Hegseth called the work of these sailors.
Yeah, the longest. Yeah, these people. Was this the one that had the laundry fires or whatever, or was that a different one? Let's see here. Laundry fire incident. USS ship. Yeah, it is the Gerald R. Ford. So, okay, this is the ship, by the way. This ship has had a lot of problems. Probably due to the fact that it was built in like the 60s or whatever. And it is when was it built? Let me make sure I'm getting this right. When was USS Gerald R. Ford built? Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. It's 2009. Okay, so I guess this is a relatively new ship. I just kind of always assume most of our ships are from like the 60s, but okay, this is a new ship. So this one, it says commissioned in 2017 actually, so it's a really new ship. For a ship this new, it's having a lot of problems though. It had this was also the one with the poop overflowing, I'm pretty sure. Where they were the sailors were having just like sewage living in open sewage, as all of the toilets were overflowing because something was wrong with the plumbing or whatever. Like and there's a lot of speculation as well that people just like were stuffing their shirts down the toilets to try to fuck up the system so that it was forced to go back to to port or whatever, and they could have a little break, because they've been out there for like a year now. I don't know if people know that. Like it's been crazy. They were originally I think positioned around like Latin America, or no, they were in the Middle East, I think. And then they were moved back to Latin America, and then I think they had to move back again to the Middle East for Iran. And so because I think they were over there originally for Operation Midnight Hammer or whatever, the 12-day war. I can't remember, one of those two. And so, yeah, so now they're finally coming home. This, I guess, apparently only 8-year-old ship can finally get a break, can finally get some repairs done. Also, for those who don't know, like when one of these ships comes back, it's a whole thing to get it back up to running and like ready to go again. It like, I mean, I think it takes like months, if not years of like a year of like servicing just to like, get it ready to go again. And if America wants to continue doing indefinite hot wars all across the world, they're going to have to speed up that process or get some more boats or get some more manpower, like one or the other. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. Let's keep going. Let's learn more about the USS Gerald R. Ford coming back.
Phenomenal.
Absolute resolve, epic fury. It's an incredible story, and the only story that should be told today is of the heroism and the skill and the professionalism of these sailors who went 3 times around the globe to defend that flag right there, which can only do what this strike group does.
No, not that flag. You see that flag down there? Not that flag. Let me show you the flag they were going out there to defend real quick. Let me show you this real quick. This flag, where is it? Open image and new tab. This was the flag. This was the flag that the USS Gerald R. Ford went out there to defend. They went out there, they risked their lives, not for that flag down there. You know what's funny? Fox News used to have this like graphic down there for the Iran war. Where it's like a mix between America's flag and the Star of David, like for Israel's flag. So it would be like America's flag, like morphing into the Israeli flag, which I always thought the imagery of that was so funny because it's like our flag is slowly I always imagined like the Israeli flag would just slowly start to consume the American flag, and it would just be pure Israeli flag. But it seems like they got rid of that. I think they probably realized that was maybe a little too on the nose. But yeah, they weren't out there risking their lives for our flag. They were risking their lives for this flag. And if you disagree with that, by the way, you viewer, if you disagree with what I'm saying, or like that with them going out and risking their lives for this flag, then you are anti-Semitic. Just so you know, not allowed to say anything about it. You're an American citizen, but you are not allowed to complain about Americans having to go risk their lives for the Nazi state of Israel. Not allowed. You're not allowed. Even what I just said right there. I mean, people are going to say it. So, so there you go, people. Here you go.
Overnight, President Trump shared a series of AI images on Truth Social. One shows the president standing at a control center that says Space Force with outgoing missiles on a screen behind him. The other shows him commanding the Navy with the caption, "It was the calm before the storm." All of this comes as the Iranians have accused the United States of changing their negotiating position.
An attack on our nuclear facilities has already taken place once, and they claim they completely destroyed them. Yet now they are once again talking about attacking the facilities. These contradictory statements truly indicate the depth of America's confusion regarding their objectives in this war.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree.
Iranian officials continue to make serious statements about the country's nuclear program. This is a key issue President Trump wants resolved either at the negotiating table or on the battlefield. Guys?
I mean, at this point, Iran, like, I'm serious. Like, I know that you're okay. They're probably doing the right move. Honestly, Iran is probably doing the right move. Like maybe like slightly softening their position on nuclear so that they can get the other stuff that they want, which they probably see as more important, honestly, than getting nuclear. Because to them, I think the Strait of Hormuz, that controlling 20% of the world's oil, is probably more important than a nuclear weapon, or more of a deterrent than a nuclear weapon. So honestly, I probably agree with their strategies for the most part. However, I would say, like, at this point, just do it. Just go for the nuclear bomb. like just do it. Do it like in the middle of wartime. Like get a nuclear bomb and do a nuclear test in the middle of wartime. And then just like, then we can finally like stop dealing with this bullshit, you know, like America would be forced to go home at that point. Like, and the like Nazi state of Israel would have to stop invading every single country and trying to kill every brown person they can get their hands on.
Trey, real quick, you know, of the many things I believe the New York Times broke this week as far as what the what the administration may do. One of the things was, one, a ground offensive for the nuclear material, but the other one was still this idea of taking Carg Island. That might become a reality. Could you explain if there's any breadth
Oh
to
my
that
God.
and why?
They're going back to the Carg Island, like, fucking psyop story, dude. It's so annoying.
I've been speaking with regional intelligence officials this morning who indicate that the assessment inside of Iran is President Trump may resume combat operations against the regime. And these officials say that currently the Iranians are conducting a strategy of deception and delay with hopes that buying time would actually make it more difficult if the war does resume. As it relates to Carg Island, President Trump has a variety of options on the table to put pressure on the Iranian regime. And one of those is the possibility of sending forces to Carg Island, this critical island that accounts for around 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. You also have
I don't know, man. I think that if they were going to do a ground invasion, I kind of think that they already would have done it. I think that the fact that they've hesitated this long indicates that they're like a real unwillingness for Trump to take any sort of like to get like bogged down like in actual troops on the ground quagmire with like, you know, I mean, I said before, if they tried to do this operation, it'd be hundreds of people dead. Like if they like, and then how do you hold it? Like, okay, you're just going to hold it indefinitely while you're constantly being like Iran is just raining, you know, drones on you 24/7. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. I think that this is such a red herring at this point. If we're not willing to actually commit the hundreds of thousands of troops to do a full occupation or an attempted full occupation, then I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to do any sort of partial land occupation or whatever, if I had to guess.
A variety of other options for President Trump. And remember, right now, the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports remains in place. Yeah. And Israeli officials tell Fox News that this is an exponential threat for the regime because internally in Iran, you have this situation where the regime is getting weaker and weaker each day. And as the economic situation gets worse for the Iranian leadership in Tehran, they face new domestic internal pressure.
Dude, come on, man. How many times are you going to talk about this? Like, you've been saying they're going to collapse for decades. Like, you said, like, all the sanctions, one more sanction, and they're going to collapse. Oh, okay, one more blockade, and they're going to collapse. Oh, like, any day now, any day they're going to collapse. They're not going to collapse, dude. The government is too, like, strong. It's too core to the, and it's also, they're under wartime right now. So the people are going to line up behind their government. Like, this is just not going to happen. They can, I said before, they can last indefinitely with this blockade. They can last forever, for 10, 20, 30 years with this blockade that America is doing. America can't afford to keep that blockade going for that long, first and foremost. And also, the rest of the world is going to like fucking riot and go to war with America if they are out of 20% of the world's energy for decades. Like, you know, it would be chaos. It would be like, I keep saying, like, when you start getting rolling blackouts in Western countries, like where people are used to having everything they want at their fingertips 24/7, and it's like, okay, well, actually now every night the power is going to be out from 10 to 12 p.m. And also we're going to have a daytime outage from 2 to 4 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like if you start doing that shit, then like the Westerners are going to be like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, and it'll become incredibly unpopular to in any way support Donald Trump's war of choice on Iran. And there will be a lot of international pressure and even domestic pressure on the American front when gas starts hitting, you know, like $7 a gallon in like where I live in the Midwest. Like people are not going to be happy about that.
Pressure, and that is part of the broader strategy by the Trump administration to put continuing pressure on the Iranian regime and make it more difficult for them to have support internally for any sort of future conflict, and also their ability to rebuild in the aftermath of Operation Epic Fury.
Certainly feels like a powder keg right now. Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
All right. Let's absolutely hope that a bigger war doesn't break out. But I just don't think the Iranians have been humbled. And I think that's President Trump's dilemma at this moment.
Well, I think the challenge, too, is the Iranian regime.
You've been unable to quote unquote humble them or whatever. But really, it's just they are way stronger than you guys thought. And America is way weaker than you guys thought. And that's the problem. That's the problem that they're still unable to contend with, is that America does not have the same force projection capabilities as it had in the past. America is not capable of influencing the countries like this, like they were in the past. America isn't able to defend its allies. Maybe America never was, honestly. I don't know. But definitely now in the era of drone warfare, America is unable to defend its allies. And so America just is. I mean, these people, because they have to live in a fantasy world where America is going to be the world superpower forever, like that's kind of like their space in the media, is they have to. And I think most people in the media kind of like have to like pretend this, or else they like don't feel like they're doing their patriotic duty to this country or something, which I think is stupid. I don't think living in a fantasy make-believe world like they do, where America is like a global superpower that is never going to, like, the sun is never going to set on, just like the British Empire or whatever, like, which obviously the sun eventually set on. And no superpower lasts forever, and it's inevitable that they are going to eventually overextend themselves and either complete and total collapse or retreat from the world stage in terms of their power and projection capabilities. Like this is all inevitabilities, and we're clearly obviously living through that right now. And I don't think it's very helpful or patriotic or whatever to live in a fantasy world and say that that's not what's happening. I think that it is much better, like as a citizen of this country, and who's someone who considers himself a patriot, to try to guide our country and do what we can to influence our country to be like, as this inevitable end to our empire comes about, to try to soften that landing, and best, like, and just try to prevent us from like turning into a straight up like fascist, like Nazi regime that's trying to hold on to what power it thinks it has, as and then like inevitably has to be stopped or whatever. Like, I really don't want that to happen. But also I just want us to hopefully not cause too much damage across the world as we descend from our status as like global superpower. Like I think that that's kind of our duty as citizens, not like to our country, also like to obviously like help prevent the full, the terrible consequences that come from a full and total collapse. Like, if we can ease that in any way for our country, that's great. But also from an international perspective of like not like subjecting all of our neighbors and all of our or not even just our neighbors, just all the countries around the world to like our imperialist lashing out due to because as a country loses its power, it wants to try to reassert its power no matter what. Or and usually what happens is they'll start going after weaker and weaker enemies. I don't know why Donald Trump decided at this point in time, when America is losing so much power, to go after Iran, which is an actual very capable enemy. But in general, what tends to happen is the empire will just be attacking smaller and smaller enemies that it actually can dominate. And I think we have a duty to try to stop the worst impulses of our dying hegemonic empire. Personally, that's my personal opinion. I think it's patriotic to do so, and I think what these people are doing, living in a fantasy world and just pretending like America is still still has the same like superpower status as it used to, I think they're actually doing I think they're actually hurting the country by doing that, personally, because they're trying to because the collapse that comes from buying into that philosophy, and like the political unrest and the instability that is going to come from that disconnect between like reality and fantasy, it like inevitably is going to lead to a harsher collapse that is worse both for our citizens and for the international people abroad. So I don't know. I always get very frustrated when people do this. So, but anyway, that was a long ramble. Let's keep going.
Regime is sort of built to last, you know, even with IRGC commanders spread across the country in these different provinces. And so I know that we've been putting pressure on the Iranian regime, but how close is it to breaking? You know, particularly when we're sort of dictated by election cycles as well, with the midterm election coming up. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way, especially because a lot of people will expect things to happen quickly. They'll want it over with. They want those gas prices to get right back down to where they were before the conflict. But I think you have to get this thing done correctly in the right timing, because ultimately you don't want them to come back and have a nuclear capability, which is something that we're trying to eliminate.
Well, and Charlie made this point yesterday, which I thought was a really great point. That shows that President Trump is trying to do the right thing, because what other president would be doing this with an upcoming midterm election, you know, dictated by politics, and he's doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do. So just wanted to.
Well, and because Netanyahu has some pictures in a vault somewhere. That's also why. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. We already talked about USS Gerald R. Ford coming back in that video. Let's go to ISIS.
This is video.
So, I guess, you know, I mean, obviously ISIS, I think ISIS is ISIS still relatively strong? I thought it was. ISIS, how strong is ISIS? I don't know how to word this question. Okay, it's no longer a territory holding caliphate, but a highly dispersed insurgency. So let's just pull this up. AI overview, so take it with a grain of salt. But 1,500 to 3,000 militants operate in Syria and Iraq. Africa has 4,000 to 7,000 fighters. And then ISIS-K. So, okay. So it seems like they're still pretty strong. I guess the war on terror didn't really help that much. So let's go ahead and watch this video. Apparently, in like I think last night or maybe the night before, America and Nigeria did some coordinated operation and killed the director of global operations for ISIS. So let's go ahead and watch this video and hopefully get a little bit more information.
This is video from Gaza this morning as a funeral procession was held for a top Hamas leader killed in an Israeli strike last night. Israel says the strike targeted is Haddad, and he is believed to be one of the architects of the October.
This isn't what I thought it was going to be about. One second. ISIS commander killed Nigeria. Sorry, I don't really care about all that other stuff. I was reading the description. I think there might be more info than I really care about in this video. So let's pull this up. And we'll just click this first one from Reuters.
U.S. President
okay. So, joint operation by U.S. and Nigerian forces. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Donald Trump announced that a top ISIS commander was killed by U.S. and Nigerian forces. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Abu Bilal al-Manuki, the second in command of ISIS globally, was eliminated. In a statement on X, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said early assessments confirmed that the ISIS commander was killed along with several of his lieutenants during a strike on his compound. This video, released by U.S. Africa Command on Saturday,
By the way, I got news for you. Taking out these commanders isn't going to do anything. Leadership strikes are largely performative and don't really have any impact when it comes to insurgencies. There's always, for every person you kill, there's 100 more hardline people there to take that person's place. So I don't really think that's gonna do anything. In all honesty, my personal opinion is that ISIS will cease to exist once we stop destabilizing the region. Short history lesson. So ISIS spawned out of the remnants of Al-Qaeda, right? And Al-Qaeda, for those unaware, was not directly funded by America, but was born out of a lot of the insurgents that we armed in the region for destabilizing it, for those types of reasons. Let's see if I can pull it up. Origins of ISIS. Remnants of Al-Qaeda. I was hoping that they would have some more information on Al-Qaeda, but I know that we funded a lot of insurgent groups and stuff around there in order to destabilize various regimes. But then after that, then we obviously went to war with Al-Qaeda after 9/11 and obviously with Iraq and those lies and stuff that got us in there, which then destabilized the region further, which then all of these destabilization efforts led to a whole bunch of people who were orphaned, right? Who didn't have parents, and a shit ton of guns, just a shit ton of guns and weapons just scattered throughout the region, which then led to the creation of ISIS, which I think was originally for Iraq and Syria, if I remember correctly, but has now expanded to just be all over. Really, they're essentially just insurgents who are all over the Middle East, all over Northern Africa now too. Basically they're not going, you can't bomb your way out of this. There's no way to bomb your way out of this. The only way to end these sorts of insurgent military organizations that are destabilizing that are now taking part in the destabilizing of these various countries over there is you need to stop providing the destabilization that allows them to continue recruiting. If you could, got all of your, if we abandoned that region, in its entirety, and also obviously Israel would have to be, turned into a single secular state or whatever, with everybody has equal rights. And then, that region had maybe a decade to kind of stabilize without constantly being destabilized by America and Israel. Then I think you would start to see a big drop in the numbers of ISIS, because a lot of ISIS people, I think, are very motivated by the humiliations being caused by Israel against Palestinians and towards Muslims in general, but then also obviously just our constant destabilizing efforts that leaves a bunch of orphans and a bunch of weapons all over the region. So I don't know, that's my high level overview of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. This sort of stuff, bombing the killing the leadership or whatever, that's never going to work. That's not a way to defeat them. There's no way to militarily defeat an ideology like ISIS. You have to cut off the reason that they are able to recruit people and continue operating in the way that they do. Only at that point can you actually militarily at least stop them, prevent them from making gains, and eventually they will wither away. But you need that stabilization first.
Claims to show a strike on ISIS fighters in Nigeria, including al-Manuki. Tinubu said Nigerian forces worked closely with the U.S. military in what he called a daring joint operation that dealt a heavy blow to the ranks of the Islamic State. Trump, who has previously accused Nigeria of failing
I
to
don't really
protect
think that.
Christians from Islamist militants, thanked the Nigerian government for its partnership in the operation. Many Nigerians Reuters spoke to were in favor of it.
To me, I want more of such strikes because we've been fighting this terrorism without fighting terrorism.
The terrorist issue has become something else. But if US can help us to eliminate all this thing, I see nothing bad there.
Nigeria's Borno state, where the strike was carried out, has endured an insurgency waged by Boko Haram and its splinter group, Islamic State West Africa Province, for 17 years. Thousands of people have been killed and some 2 million displaced. Nigeria denies discriminating against any religion and says its security forces target armed groups that attack both Christians and Muslims.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that there's no good solution here, except for, trying to stabilize the region. And a part of that is taking, getting rid of America's imperialist ambitions over there. If all of that went away, then I think it would be a lot harder for ISIS to continue recruiting. And I think that it would just wither away and die. It's the same thing that would happen if, I guess they're different organizations. I don't want to equate the two, but it would be like if, the Palestinians were given, equal rights to Israelis, and we had a single democratic state with Israelis and Palestinians living side by side, and they all had equal rights. Then the Hamas organization would wither away and die. There would be no need for it, or it would be absorbed into the government, and people would no longer be engaging in acts of terror or whatever, right? Like it would just wither away. And that's the only way for insurgent organizations to go away, is if you fix the underlying root causes of why they exist in the first place. So you can't really bomb them away. You can't really kill, the more you kill of them, the more come to replace them. You have to solve the ideological problem that is undergirding their ideology. So let me go back to my playlist real quick. I think I exited out of it. Nope. Peaceful music. We don't need no peaceful music right now. We're talking about ISIS. Okay, we're gonna now go to let's see. Let's watch this one. I don't know anything about this one. Let's dig deeper. This one is completely new to me. I don't know what's going on. It caught my eye on the timeline. And so I put it on here. So we're going to learn together. But this video is called FBI Offers $200,000 Reward to Catch Ex-Air Force Specialist Wanted on Espionage Charges in Iran. Okay. Let me see. They'll probably show a picture, but I could use that $200,000. So I'm going to be on the lookout, people. Let's watch it.
Let's dig deeper into that ex-Air Force analyst charged with spying. We've got our Peter Haralambous from our New York newsroom here with those details. Peter, how's it going, man? Let's get right to it. People are searching. Who is Monica Witt, and what exactly is she accused of doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. She is someone who served in the Air Force for about a decade, ending her service in 2008. She then became a defense contractor, and with those roles, she had access to top secret information. Now, prosecutors allege that she first visited Iran for a conference held by an anti-American group. She was warned that that conference might actually be a recruiting front for counterintelligence efforts. But despite those warnings, she returned in 2013, where prosecutors say she defected. Since then, they allege that she's provided top.
Wow. Okay, if I do see her, I will turn her in because I need that cool 200,000. But I'm not gonna lie, kind of badass. Joining the rebels, it would be like if someone from in Star Wars, like someone from the Empire under Darth Vader, like one of his people decided to turn and become a double agent for the Rebel Alliance. while they were still working at the Death Star or whatever, like maybe sending over the like how to destroy the Death Star, the plans or whatever. Like I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, from like a pure like a movie perspective or something, or like if this was a movie, that's kind of badass.
Held by an anti-American group, she was warned that conference might actually be a recruiting front for counterintelligence efforts. But despite those warnings, she returned in 2013, where prosecutors say she defected. Since then, they allege that she's provided top secret information to Iranian forces that have endangered U.S. personnel in the region and have assisted other terrorist organizations.
Wow, Peter, so it sounds like they've been aware of her for a while. Do we know exactly where she could be?
At this point, it's unclear. They say they're now increasing this award to $200,000, hoping that perhaps someone knows information about her. All they know is that they believe she is in Iran somewhere.
Also, by the way, for people who don't understand, like Iran also has like intelligence, right? I think a lot of people sometimes think that America and Israel are the only ones capable of doing intelligence or like intelligence operations and stuff. Iran definitely has some. Like don't worry. Like there's certainly people in America who are like Iranian assets as well, who are able to, feed them information from the Pentagon or whatever. Right. Like there's definitely, I think any country of that size is going to have some form of intelligence. Now, don't get me wrong. It's nowhere near as sophisticated as America or Israel, but there's probably a bunch of people like this girl and who are working in places where they have like security clearance and stuff. So this is just one of the few who got caught.
Someone knows information about her. All they know is that they believe she is in Iran somewhere. On top of that, the FBI isn't really saying more about.
And as somebody who believes wholeheartedly in the fact that everything that our government does should be exposed to the American public by any means necessary, I think this is kind of rad, to be honest. I mean, yeah, she's giving it to Iran, which I mean, I would rather her just like release it to the public or something. But I do want all of the information that we possibly can from our government, all the hidden stuff, all the classified stuff. I love a good leaker, man. Leakers are heroes. I think that we need to, we need more people leaking all of the bullshit that our country does. And so I'm all for that.
Why now? But in a statement, the FBI agent in charge of the DC counterintelligence office.
And also for those who would be like, oh, but she's putting the troops at risk. All those troops over in the Middle East are now going to be at risk because of this. Easy solution. Hear me out. Take all of the troops that are over there and move them over here. Problem solved. Problem solved. I mean, you can't argue with it. We don't have to like pay ungodly amounts of money to support them through like funneling all of my tax dollars over there. And also they are no longer at risk whatsoever. They are completely safe forever if they just come back over here. They are 100% safe if they come back over here. So just a thought.
Said that in this critical time of Iranian history, they hope someone might know something about her that they could share. If that person comes forward, they're primed to get $200,000.
Yeah, Peter, people are searching.
And also, I don't know if I would actually turn her in because I know these types of rewards, especially from the police. I don't know about if the FBI is more trustworthy, but especially from the police, like these types of rewards are almost never actually paid out. They just say it. They literally just make it up. They say, hey, we're offering a $20,000 reward for information related to finding Luigi Mangione or whatever. And then they just never pay it out. Like that's what they do all the time. So I would also, if you are considering turning this girl in, if you find some information, that you're probably not going to actually get that $200,000. If I had a guarantee that I was going to get $200,000, if I gave them some information, then I would probably do it just because I need that money. But otherwise, I would not.
A ton about Monica's military background. What do we know about her time spent there?
Yeah, there are a few really interesting things there in terms of her background. First, not only was she an intelligence expert for the Air Force, but she also served as a special agent for the law enforcement branch within the Air Force itself. As part of that role, she had information related to counterintelligence. That includes kind of knowing the names and identities of people who might be operating undercover overseas. On top of that, we know she was in the region between 2003 and 2008 for her Air Force roles. Prosecutors at this point say that she not only revealed the identity of one person who was serving in U.S. intelligence, but also details about a top-secret intelligence gathering operation.
Story's almost unbelievable. Peter, thank you so much.
Wait, what was that last part?
Let's dig deeper in
intelligence, but also details about a top person who was serving in U.S. intelligence, but also details about a top-secret intelligence gathering operation.
Story's almost unbelievable. Peter, thank you so much.
Top secret intelligence. I mean, hey, like I said, kind of badass. If it was a plot to a movie, it'd be kind of badass. Like I said, betraying the empire, giving over the secret details to the rebel alliance over in Iran. I think that could make a good, make for a good movie. George Lucas would have a field day with it. Anti-American, unpatriotic George Lucas, who thinks that Vietnam War was bad. And he thinks the Iran War is bad, like an anti-American. I don't know. It's also, sorry, I just like that. It always amazes me how terrible America's media literacy is, where they can't where like the most obvious parallel, like Vietnam parallel allegory, like Star Wars is unable to be understood by the mainstream as what it is, an anti-imperialist movie. And so like I would imagine that people are probably going to get mad at me for these opinions on this video as well, but I don't really care. I don't really care, but I just think it's like people's inability to actually take their media and then like see what it's trying to say and learn and understand from it is kind of funny to me. So I'm just having a little fun here, people.
Well, hello, everyone.
I thought comedy was legal. Apparently not. Okay, let's move on. I don't know how long I'm going to make it into this video. I'm not going to lie, but we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. I'm going to guess I'm going to go maybe like 10 minutes in, and then I'm probably going to give up. So this is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro came out with a new video. This video did giga omega numbers. It got 434,000. That's huge for Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel. Let me go see Ben Shapiro. Is his YouTube? I guess it's his own personal YouTube channel. But you'll see like most of these videos, 22,000. Some of his longer videos are getting like 500,000. Maybe those are botted though. They're both at exactly 525,000, which is a little bit interesting. But anyway, but most of them you can see though are getting 30 to 100K. And you might be saying, technically, Clay, don't your videos get like at most like 1,000 to 2,000 views? How dare you? That's what you're probably saying to me. How dare you criticize this beautiful boy and his tens of thousands of views? To which I say, you're right. You're right. But in my defense, okay, I don't have billions upon billions of dollars of slush fund money that I can draw on in order to prop my channel up. That's number one. And also, I've been doing this for like a month and a half at this point. That's number two. Okay, so yeah, you guys can stop coming for me, okay? I understand that this is hypocritical of me to call Ben Shapiro washed, as I don't even, scrape nearly as many views as he does. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch Ben. He's had enough. He's had enough of the lamestream media coming out and telling everybody that his company is falling apart. Everybody's being fired. Nobody has a job anymore, and he's like, no, everything's fine over here. You guys are freaking out for no reason. That's, I think, the gist of what this video is going to be. So let's go ahead and watch him crash out hard on the timeline and have a little bit of fun.
Well, hello, everybody. Sometimes here on The Ben Shapiro Show, we cover the news, and sometimes we are the news here at the Daily Wire. Well, over the past few weeks, The Daily Wire, you might have noticed, has been the subject of a bunch of hit pieces, like a veritable cornucopia of hit pieces. There was one from the Washington Post, and there was one from Puck, and then finally there was an especially ridiculous one from the stellar journalists at New York Magazine, who literally plagiarized their hit piece from the Washington Post. So much journalisming, high-level journalisming. Well, this morning, that New York Magazine piece is
That's just how the media cycle is. The way it usually works is somebody reports something, and then most other people just report on the reporting. It's usually just the person who reports it first is like the original, but a lot of media is just like reporting on the reporting. That's how you can get a lot of like inaccurate stuff being made, like getting somehow onto the front pages of like the Washington Post or whatever. Is you start with like the New York Post, like some rag or whatever, and you get them to report on some like not very accurate thing that you want to be put out into the mainstream. Like I don't know, like, oh, they're eating cats and dogs in this like Somalian town or whatever, right? Like they did back in when was that? 2016, 2020? I can't remember. I think 2020. But like, yeah, you have like a tiny like dish rag, like the New York Post, like report that with like inaccuracies, and then all the other media just reports on the reporting, and eventually it gets up to like, you know, more reputable places. That's a very common way of doing this, but I mean, what do I know though? I've been doing this for like a month and a half. Ben Shapiro has been doing this for like 20 years or whatever.
is lighting up the interwebs. It's lighting up X. Well, New York Magazine claims there was a time when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call himself the king of all conservative media. I don't remember that time, but it sounds cool. They said that's all over now. The Daily Wire is instituting significant layoffs. Ooh. Well, according to New York Magazine, the future of conservatism isn't traditional conservatism, you know, like free markets, like equal rights before law, like checks and balances, like traditional virtue. That's done. The future.
Oh yeah, that's lib shit. That's, you just described liberalism. Like, you just described liberalism. Like, I mean, the only difference between conservatives and liberals is like social, right? Like on social issues. But in general, though, you really, literally, you just described liberalism. And liberalism, by the way, is collapsing. Like, it is collapsing. There is no constituency. There's not going to be a constituency for liberalism for a while now, I think. So,
like equal rights before law, like checks and balances, like traditional virtue, that's done. The future, according to New York Magazine, is Nick Fuentes, confirmed Nazi stan and woman hater, and man who will never be able to get a human woman pregnant through natural means. Or Tucker Carlson, confirmed anti-capitalist and Muslim apologist and victim of demon scratching. Or maybe Candace Owens, the confirmed slanderer of widows.
He's laying out all of these people who are unironically the future of conservatism. Like, they are. First and foremost, is obviously there's the Israel problem. Like, Ben Shapiro is super ideologically tied to Zionism and the nation state of Israel, and that's just like toxic right now, obviously. So that's number one. A lot of these people are anti-Israel. Now, some of them are anti-Semitic as well, but that's not that big of a deal to Ben Shapiro. He cares more about them being anti-Israel. But these people also are the future of they're also the future of media in general, I would say, from a more generic perspective. Individual personalities like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are how the vast majority of people consume media nowadays. And that includes myself. I don't consume those particular people, but I consume people like Ryan Grimm's stuff over at Dropside, or I consume Hassan's content as an internet personality who does political commentary or whatever, right? Like, these are, generally speaking, the future of the media, and the whole concept of a buttoned up show that looks like this, right? That looks like this, where you have a perfectly pristine tailored suit, a nice mic, a perfectly backlit set with like all these like Temu like style like art decor or whatever, like the like straight from Temu art decor, like this is like such an antiquated, I think, format. I mean, I guess in this regard, Ben Shapiro in and of himself just doing a live stream like broadcast like this is kind of similar to that style of media, but having like a big giant organization around it, right? Having a a whole bunch of staff all, making different types of shows and different types of content or whatever, in this nebulous sphere of I don't know. I just don't think that that's the future. I think it needs to be more small, individualistic, like individual creators is like what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Connoisseur of French testicles. Or maybe Megyn Kelly, click whoring Grandma Groiper over there. Well, New York Magazine writes, quote, the collapse of the Daily Wire can be seen as a dire warning for traditional Republicans. There are two realities to Shapiro conservatism in 2026. It retains a significant foothold among Republican elites, and it is being fast rejected by the future grassroots of the parties. First of all, that's just wrong. By the polling data, the positions that we take here on the show are reflective of the broad majority of Republicans. That's just the reality. But
not the ones that matter, probably. The base, man. The base is becoming more unhinged, and they're seeking more unhinged content. This buttoned up shit is not going to do it for them. They want Nick Fuentes. They want Asmongold. They want, I mean, to some extent, they want Tucker Carlson, I guess, even though he's a little bit more buttoned up than they want. I think that they just want like more unhinged, like also some of those like things that he talked about at the beginning, like being pro free market and stuff. They don't give a shit about that. They care more about the ideological commitment to, in my opinion, white supremacy. That's what they care the most about. And they will manipulate the markets however they want in order to, they don't care about like principled things like free markets or whatever. If they can use the markets to enact their goals, then they're like, who cares? So I think that there's just a difference also in terms of not just like going from like big corporate venture like he has to like the more modern style of like individual commentators without that big organization behind you. But then there's also the downgrade in terms of like going from super buttoned up and pristine like Ben Shapiro here to just like a dude who doesn't shower ever, like Asmongold, and and is kind of like much dumber than Ben Shapiro is as well. I think they're tired of being talked to like in an intellectual manner.
I figured that we should address all of this head on. So it's true. The Daily Wire laid off some 13% of our workforce since the beginning of the year. And that really sucked. It was truly sad because all those people are great. And anytime, we're in business, anytime you lay people off as a business, that really sucks. It's tough.
That's some woke shit. That's some woke shit, dude. What are you talking about? You are, as a capitalist, as someone who believes in capitalism, you are required by law to extract as much surplus labor value out of those people as possible. And you are required by law to not treat them like human beings and kick their asses to the curb and never talk to them again whenever you're done with them. That is your job in order to maximize profits. How dare you engage in woke commie bullshit like caring for your workers? What the fuck are you talking about, Ben?
It's bad for them. It's bad for us. And I'm personally working to find other places of employ for as many of these people as I possibly can, because everybody who we let go deserves a job somewhere else. They're great folks. But for our critics, this was all cause for massive celebration. The joyful popping of the corks, or maybe in the case of Nick Fuentes, a victory celebration with Catboys and lubricant. And listen, we're honored by the attention.
I don't know what that means.
See,
I'm not super plugged into the Nick Fuentes cinematic universe, so I don't know what he's talking about there.
The thing, people only tend to write stories like this about major American institutions, right? Like Amazon dumps people, it's a big story, or the Washington Post dumps people, and that's a big story. And thank God we are a major American institution. According to PodTrack, our podcast reach is 41 million people per month. We're ranked 6th globally. We have a total of 11 shows. Paramount, to take an example from that same chart, is ranked 4th globally. They have 145 shows. So on a per capita basis, we're killing it. We are responsible for the 2 most successful conservative documentaries in history, Matt Walsh's Am I Racist and What is a Woman? Just this week, Vice President Vance was quoting...
Oh, man. I forgot about am I racist? But then what is a woman? That's wild to me. It might be true, honestly. It might be true that it is one of the most popular documentaries. But if you like, if you're because your fan base is like ravenous for that sort of shit, right? And so everybody's gonna like, when you have a built-in audience of like of unhinged people who are, but I would still be a little surprised though if that was anywhere near the top in terms of documentaries.
Our reporting in his fraud
I don't know.
investigation.
I'd have to check
and
that.
Our White House correspondent, Mary Margaret Olahan, is in the press room asking questions. See, here's the thing. There's no national media coverage. If a top Candace Owens producer and her manager quit, or if Megyn Kelly's YouTube account starts shedding tens of thousands of subscribers a month, or if Tucker Carlson's traffic is disproportionately drawn from...
Okay, Ben, let me tell you why. Because I feel like you should be able to understand this, okay? You're a smart guy. I know that Ben Shapiro, compared to a lot of conservative commentators, is relatively smart. Look, the reason that people are focusing on you is because you are representative of a bygone era. That is why. They are using you and your company as a stand-in for traditional media, and for traditional conservative media in particular, as the base of the party, of the Republican Party, which he still represents, right? He represents the upper crust, the elites of the Republican Party. However, the base of that party is demanding more and more radical politics every single day. And that includes getting rid of things like free market, like capitalism or whatever. Like, they don't give a shit about that anymore. They care more about punishing their enemies in whatever way they see fit. Like, that's what they care the most about. And so you need to like, this is what you need to understand is they're talking about you, but they're really not talking about you. They're talking about how you as a representative of the old school media, of the of the Fox News style media, where you had a stranglehold, like where the political class had a stranglehold of the base and what they are allowed to want from the top down through like the Murdochs or whatever, right? Like that was how it used to be. And but here's what's happening though, is the grassroots of the party that they're talking about are starting to like demand more and more than what you want, that like what you, Ben Shapiro, particularly like want them to want, basically. Like they want they want to just punish their enemies as much as possible. They want to dismantle institutions. They want to seize power by any means necessary, even if it means like going against your ideals of free market capitalism or whatever, right? Like these are the things that they want now, and you guys are losing control. And your downfall, which I mean, it is a downfall. The Daily Wire as a business model, its downfall is a relatively easy like analogy or anecdote that represents this larger situation. That is why they're doing it, Ben. And I think deep down you know that. I don't, like I said, I don't think Ben Shapiro is stupid. I think deep down he knows why they are using him as a stand-in for this. But he does obviously feel an obligation to, defend himself here, which I don't care. Go for it. But I'm going to make fun of you and I'm going to make some content out of it.
From Pakistan. We all have our fan base. Those are all things that actually happen, by the way. But nobody really cares very much because, yeah, those people have significant audience numbers, but they don't have any real institutional influence. They are not institutions. That's not true of the Daily Wire. We're big enough that people care when we trip up. And of course, like any business, we have our ups, we have our downs. But as Mark Twain put it, the reports of our death are greatly...
You're irrelevant, though. I'm sorry. Ben Shapiro is basically irrelevant at this point. Candace Owens gets so much more numbers. Tucker Carlson gets so much more numbers than he does. They have more influence over the actual direction the party is going to be going in the future than Ben Shapiro does, because they're leaning into the whims of the base a lot more. So I kind of disagree with his statement there that those people aren't institutions. I mean, they're not controlled maybe in the same, or controllable maybe in the same way by the same, money and donors as the others, although I'm sure they get a lot too. But yeah, I kind of disagree with that.
Exaggerated. But here's the thing. There's something else going on here. Something very clear going on here. The media left and the woke right, that'd be like Candace and Fuentes and Tucker and
Woke
Megan,
right.
all of them. Together, the new left. They are attempting to destroy traditional conservatism. That's the whole.
Dude, don't lump me in with those people, man. They're not left at all, dude. They are I mean they are right wingers. They're actually more right wing than you are. Like, I think that's the difference is like you associate them with being the left because of, like, I don't know, like maybe their anti-Israel attitudes or their, you know, anti-pedophilia attitudes when it comes to Epstein or whatever. But I think in general those are just some, like, occasionally, like, they're just kind of reading tea leaves. They're grifters, right? They're just better grifters, I guess, than you are probably when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Whole thing here. See, the Daily Wire is the largest traditional conservative media company in the digital space by like a ton, by leaps and bounds. We are multiple times the size of any of these others. We have lots of conversations on our platform between our various hosts about topics ranging from AI to the Middle East, on Catholicism and Judaism and all of it. There's a lot of rich disagreement here at the Daily Wire. But in the end, what we stand for here at the Daily Wire is pretty simple: truth and virtue and freedom. And that is what the new left, meaning, you know, the old left and the horseshoe right, would love to destroy. That's why the attacks have been
classic horseshoe theory argument here. Horseshoe theory is bullshit. It's stupid, by the way. But for those curious, it's not a thing. It's not a thing.
Coming fast and furious for weeks now.
There's grifters on the right, but there's only ideological, like, people on the left are ideologically principled on their beliefs. So they're like, occasionally people on the right will grift with, like, leftist views because they will be seen as, like, different or anti-establishment or whatever by doing so, but they don't actually really care that much about those things usually, and they would never, like, use their power, or if they ever attain power, use their power to actually try to advocate and make actual changes to people's lives with regard to those, like, anti-establishment principles that they have.
They want,
or not principles, but anti-establishment grifts that they do, I should say.
Destroy traditional conservatism. It is their goal in life. They want to destroy it for a couple of different reasons. The left for one reason, the woke right for another. In our supposed vulnerability, people from Nick Fuentes to Tucker, from Candace Owens to New York Magazine, from the Washington Post to Megyn Kelly, they see an opportunity to supplant traditional conservatism with a conspiratorial, grievance-addled, nutty version of populism. Or, in Megan's case, just make some quick clicks and cash. It's a lucrative grift.
Yeah, it's the grift actually that you primed them to be for. Like, you set the seeds, man. The Republican Party at large set the seeds for this. I mean, you can really trace this all back to Rush Limbaugh, right? But it is like these seeds were planted by, like, Rupert Murdoch, like, way back in the day. The conspiracy seeds were always there and ready to be harvested, and so now it's just like the plants that grew from those seeds are just, like, growing out of control, and, like, you can't control it anymore is the problem that you're having. But those seeds, you played your part in getting them there too. Ben Shapiro didn't really shy away from a lot of conspiracies. Like, I think that he leaned into the Obama birther shit, if I remember correctly. It involves him playing a role in amplifying the narrative during the time working at Breitbart. But he does, okay, so he doesn't actually say that Obama was not an American or whatever, but, like, he amplified it by writing about it. You know, he played his part. Like I said, that's what I'm saying is, like, they've all played their part in amplifying conspiracy theories, and it's just the general nature of Republicans and right wingers to need conspiracies in order to explain the world, because they can't understand it from a realist, like, materialist lens. Because the moment you start looking at the world through a materialist lens, you start to realize where the actual problems are, and you're not allowed to do that. So it was kind of, like, always going to go this way to some extent or another, but But yeah, I mean, he played his part. That's what I would say.
It's a dangerous grift for America. So why is this happening? Well, obviously, for the media left, we get it. We get it. For the media left, we get it. They're always happy to run this grift because they love a right that is crazy. They don't want a right that is characterized by normie beliefs. They want a right that's nuts, because the easiest way to make AOC president in the 2028 election is to have that nutty lady run against a conservative movement that is focused on Brigitte Macron's testicles or demon attacks in the wilds of Maine.
I disagree with that. I think that the Republican Party would have more success with the crazier candidate, to be honest. I think that the more, I mean, you need someone who is more like, who is charismatic and able to maintain the base. But I think that the more brutal they are, the more dictatorial they are, the better that they would probably do in like in the election. I don't think anybody's looking for a buttoned up establishment type to come in on the Republican side either. Just saying.
The Jews are responsible for your incurable gingivitis and horrific body odor and inability to get a date. Now, as for the woke right, you know, the new left, again, that would be Fuentes and Tucker and Candace and company.
What are they talking about?
They're ecstatic about all of this for both business and political reasons.
I don't trust him to actually understand right-left dynamics at all, personally. I think that he might understand them maybe a little better than most people, but he is still an American, and Americans, by and large, don't even really understand like the right-left spectrum.
There are competition, but second, they want to tear down traditional conservatism. Their whole goal is to cannibalize the traditional conservative audience. There are, by all available metrics, a hell of a lot more traditional conservatives and rational people in this country than nuts. But their goal is to gut the conservative movement and then turn it into a skin suit for their own perverse politics. That's the whole thing, which is why many of them are now coming out as Democrats. That unity is the thing. That unity is the thing. This is why Russia Today is the official outlet for the Kremlin.
I don't know who he's talking about that came out for Democrats or whatever. By and large, these people, even if they do occasionally align with the left on like an issue, like one or two issues, like I said, like Epstein or Israel or something, they usually don't ever actually do it, like do anything that would like challenge power in a way to actually impact change regarding those issues. Very rarely do they actually do that.
Right? It is run by the Russian government. Is retweeting Nick Fuentes' triumphalism today. Fuentes tweeted out, "I won," after that New York Magazine piece came out, that Fuentes won. Well, I don't know. Living in your basement and streaming for 8 hours a day while jacking off to the Catboys, it's a form of winning? I said, all right, I mean, whatever floats your boat, my dude.
And, well, his ideology won, and it has. The Groyper movement is the next phase of conservatism. It is the next phase of the Republican Party. So I do agree with that. I do think Nick Fuentes has won.
You might call the Russia Today Fuentes get-together an online Molotov-Ribbentrop pact. Well, it's also why the Washington Post is happy to quote Candace Owens, the ranting bag lady of the internet, to explain that the Daily Wire's numbers are down.
By the way, all of these people, including Ben Shapiro, are going to fall in line. If there is a Groyper president on the Republican side, they will all fall in line. They are not principled, okay? And they understand that it is more important for capital and for the capital-owning class, for our pedobillionaires, to it is more important to align behind
that alliance between
anybody who is not a left populist than it is to like they will never go over to the Democratic Party. They will never align. They will never vote for a Democrat, even if that Democrat is essentially just a like conservative, right? Even if it's just like Liz Cheney or something. Let's say Liz Cheney transferred over to the Democratic Party and decided to run for president. These people would still vote for the Republican Groyper candidate, and he would fall in line behind that Republican Groyper candidate as soon as it was apparent that that person had ascended in power. Because the thing about the Republicans is you don't need to win over the moderates. You don't need, they will all fall in line. Ben Shapiro will fall in line. They will all fall in line. You only have to win over the base, and whatever the base wants is what's going to happen. And if you win over the base and it becomes like apparent that this person is going to be the nominee, then all of these people will line up right behind him. So yeah,
the left and the woke right is totally real, and it's active. This is why they are getting together to formulate stories. It is why they are repeating the same talking points. Now, Candace says that the Daily Wire's numbers are down because people don't want to be lectured. And this is the teenage point of view from Candace and Meghan and Tucker. They're all saying the same thing. They don't want to be lectured. Don't lecture me. Meghan tweeted in March 2026, "You're the coward, Ben, and your moral preening, priggish lectures and holier-than-thou judgments are the reason you are losing fans, and more than that, friends, at a record rate." All these people are on the same script. They're all on the same script. And also, because as people who traffic in crap for sweet, sweet lucre, they would love to be spared the lecture. They don't want to be lectured as they grift. So they're going to do the same thing that, a 13-year-old boy would do if caught doing naughty things on his iPad. They don't want to be lectured. Don't you lecture me. Well, it turns out sometimes in life, people need lectures in decency, in reason, and in truth. People who smear the wives of murdered men or cover for people who smear for the wives of murdered men. Those people deserve lectures. Maybe the people who revive Nazi propaganda. Maybe the people who have a weird interest in the non-existent testicles of the spouses of French politicians. Or maybe the people.
Dude, you can't get mad at her for transvestigating, dude. You can't get mad at her for transvestigating when your entire, you made the "what is a woman" thing. You just talked about it earlier. You primed everybody to be anti-trans and to be seeing trans people as the source of all of their problems, and to be seen, the testicles of trans women or something everywhere they go. You primed them all to be looking for trans people in every aspect of their lives, and then you get mad at Candace Owens for seeing Macron's wife or whatever and being I think that person's trans. That's ridiculous to get mad about that after you prime them all to do it.
Who make a cause with actual Nazi stands. Maybe those people deserve lectures. Maybe the people who are repeating talking points from Hassan Piker and mimicking the propaganda of Vladimir Putin, or people who just randomly start cursing so much and are hanging out with the Groyper adjacent and embracing Islam. Maybe those people deserve lectures. I don't know.
Embracing Islam. Islam is the most popular religion in the world, right? You understand that, right? That is the majority of people. The majority of people embrace Islam. He treats it as a slur, and these people, they embrace Islam. Oh my God, that's wild.
Well, listen, there's always a big YouTube audience for that sort of crap. But let's be real, there's a massive online audience for pornography as well. People addicted to both deserve a bit of a lecture. But let's get back to the central issue. The point of the attacks on the Daily Wire is, of course, not just to attack the Daily Wire. It's to destroy traditional conservatism. That's the whole thing, the entire thing, all of it, every bit of it. That's the whole thing. The reason they are coming after the Daily Wire is because they want to come after you. They want to come after traditional conservatives who believe traditionally conservative.
Why do you say it like that? He sounded like he was going to cry.
All of it, every bit of it. That's the whole thing. The reason they are coming after the Daily Wire is because they want to come after you. They want to come after
you.
Traditional conservatives who believe traditionally conservative things. It is no coincidence that at the same time,
that's not me, by the way,
Washington Post and New York Magazine and all the rest of these legacy left publications are attacking
what
the Daily
fuck
Wire.
Are you talking about? Do you think the Washington Post is a left-leaning publication? Dear God, even before Bezos owned it, it was still a liberal institution. Same with New York Times. It's a liberal institution. And liberalism, I've talked about it before, liberalism is a center-right ideology. It's impossible to explain this to a lot of people, but liberalism is a center-right ideology. If your ideological spectrum goes from liberalism to conservatism or to fascism, maybe you understand a very small portion of the spectrum. My personal opinion is that the left, broadly speaking, starts at anti-capitalism. That's the bare bones. Once you are anti-capitalist, then you are, left of center. And then, you can go down the various ideologies of how much ownership of means of production, all that sort of stuff, state capitalism, socialism, democratic socialism, which, social democracy as well. I would say social democracy is like right in the middle, because it's almost, almost anti-capitalist. But yeah, like these people have no idea of political spectrum. I forgot what got me started on that though.
They're also writing strange new respect features on Nick Fuentes and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson. The left wants those people to win.
Oh, yeah. They were talking about the media. The New York Times is some like left-wing institution. No way, dude. No way. The New York Times holds water for all of the same, like they publish State Department talking points like regularly. Like same with the Washington Post. They publish like State Department talking points regularly. The New York Times covered for the genocide in Gaza. They were incredibly pro-Israel. Like all of these institutions are center right at best.
But they're not hiding it very well. New York Magazine's piece says, quote, like the Rockefeller Republican of yore, the Shapiro Republican could go extinct entirely. That's what they want.
Probably
right?
will.
They want traditional normie Republicans to go away. It's what they want, and it's what they hope for.
Well, okay. Why would I on the left want that? I'm curious what his thoughts are on that, because I mean, I don't see that much of a difference, honestly, between the Republican institutionalists and the Groypers. But in general, Groypers, like they do, in the new era of conservatives, they do much more closely resemble fascists, like even more so than Republicans, which were just or traditional Republicans, which were just aligned with like always would align with fascist like ideology, but never were like openly fascist. But like I mean, to be honest, I guess in the end, it's like why care about that distinction, because one was inevitably going to lead to the other. So I don't know. But in general, I would say I would rather have I would probably rather have people like Ben Shapiro if I had to choose, other than the open like Sig Heiling neo-Nazis. Okay, you got me there, Ben. But you're saying that I want the opposite. You're saying that I want the fascists to run the party, or to run the Republican Party. I don't. we're just pointing out things, okay? That's all.
And listen, maybe it will turn out that all these people who hate conservatism and what I consider to be traditional American principles, maybe they're right. Maybe it'll turn out that the future of the right, perverted by the algorithmic insanity of the internet, is slopulism. The Tucker-style grievance conspiracism, complete with the night-scratching demons. Or Candace Owens' usual brand of cookery.
It is.
Or Nick Fuentes' transgressive Nazi cosplay. Or Theo Vaughn's man-child podcast illiteracy. Maybe that's where the right goes. Maybe that's what comes next.
Yep.
Maybe that's all facilitated by the click whoring of the Megyn Kellys of the world, and justified by an appeal to audience numbers, because none of these people ever appeal to morality. They just point to their clicks. Maybe Idiocracy wasn't a satire. Maybe it was a prophetic documentary.
Yeah, and what you're missing is that you played your part in creating this world, Ben. I just wish he would acknowledge like his role in all this. He did a lot to move people into the world, like move people, detach people more and more from reality, and get them, like, he also did a bunch of COVID shit, if I remember correctly, like, just asking questions style commentary on COVID or whatever, which also detached people from reality even further. It's like, yeah, you played your part in it, and now you have to sit in it. That's my personal opinion. Okay, people, I think I'm done with Ben Shapiro. I've been watching him for too long. Let's watch something else real quick. I might skip the Cassidy stuff. I don't know if it's that important. So I'll just quickly go over it, I guess. So Cassidy, I think, lost a Republican primary. It was another indication that Trump still has his thumb on the Republican Party, because he was I think, anti-Trump Republican. So that's the gist of that. Let's go ahead and watch something a little more fun, I think. Actually, no, let's start with not fun, and then we'll move to fun. Okay. We're gonna, well, I think this was in my title. I can't remember. How do I, settings? No. I can't find it. Oh, well. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna go straight into this one. I'm tired of doing serious stuff. Well, I guess Ben Shapiro wasn't that serious, but let's watch some Fox News again. So I like to do Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff sometimes. I'm a science guy. I like science. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he annoys me sometimes, but he's, you know, I think that he is a smart guy and knows what he's talking about when it comes to science stuff. But he also he's also like just a media personality as well, and does typical media personality stuff too. He's not like a pure scientist at this point. He's pop science, I guess. But anyway, this is going to be from Fox News. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson reveals what would confuse an alien. So we're watching Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon. I watched Jimmy Fallon come out and do like a segment that was supposed to be funny the other day, and it was just pure anti-woke comedian slop, dude. It was so boring. It was so annoying. I like, honestly, at the end of it, I just wanted to kirk myself. It was terrible. But hopefully this segment with Neil deGrasse Tyson, hopefully Neil deGrasse Tyson can save Jimmy Fallon from his own terrible comedy. So let's go.
Welcome back to Fox News Saturday Night, where I am not going to lie to you. There is a 2,000-point IQ gap between my next guest and myself. But do not worry, I will do my best to help him keep up. Say hello to legendary astrophysicist and author of the new book, Take Me to Your Leader, Neil deGrasse.
I'll take that one. Was not the best joke, but it was better than 90% of what I've seen him do before. So you should give, like, you don't understand. For Fallon here, Jimmy Fallon, that was like a 9 out of 10 banger. That was the funniest thing that the people in his audience have ever fucking heard come out of his mouth. So you got to grade him on the Fallon curve, okay?
Tyson, back on the show. Get it?
Hey, man. Nice to see you playing.
You look great.
All right.
Let me analyze that dab real quick.
Hey, man. Nice to see you playing.
All right. It wasn't terrible. I would have expected worse.
Hot damn, Neil deGrasse Tyson is back, everybody. That matters. Okay. So, yeah.
You told me Ohio's in the house?
Yes.
So Ohio, home of the Wright brothers, first in flight, and Neil Armstrong, first to walk on the moon.
Okay.
So put it out there.
Wow.
Put it out there.
That is true. First,
I will not stand for this Ohio apologia. Ohio sucks. Ohio sucks, and I'm sticking to it. Sorry, Ohio viewers. I'm just kidding, people. I'm just kidding.
To walk on the moon, but Michael Jackson invented the moonwalk.
Yeah, okay.
Listen, that's the only trivia I know. I can't hang with you unless I start bringing my own element into this. Shalou, I do believe we both need to congratulate Neil on two things. One, the release of his book, and two, the timing is pretty good.
Yeah.
If you're releasing an aliens book and Trump dumps the alien files, pretty good.
I had nothing to do with that.
It's remarkable. I can't wait to read it, and I want to hear his thoughts on whether they're real.
Fine, I'll get to the interview.
All
Sure.
right.
Oh my God, jeez. Just trying to deal you in over here.
Okay, that was a good one. He got an actual chuckle out of me. You know what? Good for him. He's on it tonight, man. This is top tier Jimmy Fallon content.
Oh my God, jeez. Just trying to deal you in over here.
Give him a chance. It's his show.
The book is called Take Me to Your Leader. If you haven't seen it, here's a copy right here.
What?
I'm kidding. There it is. I'm kidding. There it is. Look, we had it. We had it.
Take Me to Your Leader, Perspectives on Your First Alien Encounter by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We had it. And this is going to shock you, okay? But I read this.
Really?
And I'm going to prove it because I'm just going to jump all over the book.
Bring
Okay,
it
we're
on.
going to talk about it.
Bring it on.
Okay.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I do not think that he read it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if he can read. I don't know if he can read. Maybe okay, maybe that's a little bit rude. But I do think that he was probably fed talking points about this. I doubt that he read this.
Really? And I'm going to prove it because I'm just going to jump all over the book. Okay, we're going to talk about it.
Bring it on.
Okay,
Let's see.
one of the chapters
We'll see
you
if I
guys are going
believe
to
it.
love, okay, is about alien powers. And he's telling the story of how we've always had elements in our lives from pop culture where people did like kind of abnormal things. You give an example of Superman.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't break down the scientific aspect of what you said, but all I want to know is, wouldn't Superman, with his X-ray vision, be the best wingman in bar history? Because he'd be like, stay away from that chick. She's got a lot of weird tattoos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the problem is...
Okay. Oh, that was dangerous. This is a dangerous joke. I was like, I don't know where he's going with this. I was torn between two things. I was torn between like just like he was gonna say, oh, because then you could like check her out and like see what her body looks like or something. Like I thought that was where he was gonna go, or I thought he was like worst case scenario. I thought he was gonna go like, yeah, because then you can tell if she's really a man or not. Like I thought he was gonna go like anti-trans, like slop, anti-woke slop humor, but he I guess kind of saved it with just saying you can see if she has weird tattoos or not. So I guess there's that.
Because he'd be like, stay away from that chick. She's got a lot of weird tattoos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the problem is X-rays go through your skin as well. He would only be seeing bones.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's not as interesting.
Well, now that you said that, there's no bones under this desk. Oh, man. I'm kidding.
Just remind people that Superman is an alien. I just want to
that's
put
what
that back on the table.
But that's what I thought was amazing is
I don't know what that meant. There's no bones under this desk. Was he making a boner joke? Is that what he was making? I don't know.
Did it through two lenses. This is important. Things that were alien to us, but things that would be alien to them if they met us. Explain that. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah. The whole chapter, just little things like if you befriend an alien and a few hours later you say, excuse me, I have to lay down horizontally and go semi-comatose for 1/3 of Earth's rotation. And then the alien said, what? And we call it sleep. And that's just one thing we take for granted, but think about what that might look like to aliens. Other things, like we kill each other, but just on what side of a line in the sand you're born on, or who you sleep with, or who you pray to. We kill each other for that. Aliens will just see all of that and just go back home, say there's no...
Whoa, is this politics in my, is this politics entering my Neil deGrasse Tyson Fox News video? He was saying some woke shit right there. I think that he's talking about like, I guess he's saying that the aliens would be communists and they believe in a borderless, stateless, classless society. That's a pretty big assumption to make about aliens. Who knows? Like maybe aliens are capitalists just like us. I don't know. I mean, how do you know Neil deGrasse Tyson? Are you talking to him? Maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson is an alien. Maybe he's like the representative. He's here to like try to get people on board with the alien beliefs of like Karl Marx or whatever. Maybe Karl Marx was an alien. He had the hair. The hair was wild, man. He had the look. He kind of looked like an alien, in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm a little bit confused about this. He's talking about these woke ass aliens thinking about like arbitrary lines in the sands, like as being a reason to kill people, like borders, or having sex with like a man versus a woman, like they would be confused like that. I don't know. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. It depends if they have moved beyond capitalism.
Each other, but just on what side of a line in the sand you're born on, or who you sleep with, or who you pray to. We kill each other for that. Aliens will just see all of that and just go back home, say there's no sign of intelligent life on Earth. That's why we haven't found it. That's why we haven't found it.
See, I would have said, I think I would have made a joke like, and then they'd come and look at like what we're doing right here, and they'd hear you guys talk, and they'd be like, there's no signs of intelligent life anywhere. I think that could have been a good way to make that joke. But what do I know? I'm not the comedian here. That Phyla guy's the comedian.
I'm pretty sure.
I just always believed like aliens came to New York City and they just couldn't get parking.
No, I have fantasies like that. Yeah. So they come to LA and no one is walking anywhere, and they think the unit of life in the world is an automobile. And they see people go to wait in long lines to get fast food handed to them through a window, and then they eat the food in the car, and if a car gets injured, another car comes to pick it up. And other car haulers, they'll think those are pregnant, right? Because they have other life forms in it. Just step out of ourselves and see what we look like.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of funny. That is kind of true, I think. If they saw us, like, but I think that they would understand technology, though, to an extent, right? Like, wouldn't aliens understand what technology is? Wouldn't they understand what a vehicle is? How would they get here if not getting into a vehicle? Unless they're like nebulous, like space dust or something, and they're like sentient space dust that can just float around the cosmos forever or something. I don't know.
So, but Neil is basically saying that out in LA, the only thing protecting us from aliens is In-N-Out Burger. Is that what's happening? I love that.
You know what I want? So, here's another one. If aliens came, it'd be fun if they landed at Comic-Con.
Ooh.
When everybody's in cosplay, right?
Yeah.
Then they go home and say, they're just like us. See? That's what but here's another one you got to watch out for. If the alien behaves like the way our dogs do, because if it comes up to you and it's got some appendage sticking out, don't grab it and shake it. Yeah. You don't know what part of the alien that is.
Okay.
You don't. I don't
That's
think
a good
you
one.
want to know. Okay. And so your habits are not its habits, and it might.
That was an okay one. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't have a lot to work with here with Jimmy Fila.
If it's like behaves the way our dogs do, first thing it might do is just go around and sniff your butt. Just to see, let it do that, because that's its own traditions.
Whoa. Can you talk slower? Be
Okay.
sure to
Well, there you go, people. I don't know what that was. It was just a promotion. It was just Neil deGrasse Tyson promoting his book. But, you know, I like to cover Neil deGrasse Tyson sometimes. I think he's a pretty fun guy. So there you go. I think that Jimmy Fila, he was on his best behavior on that one. I think that he got he wasn't like incredibly unfunny. He was just kind of like middle of the road funny. And on the Jimmy Fila scale, that's like that was the best night of his life. So okay, let's move on now to we're gonna go to Rogansphere drama slop. I hope everybody's ready.
For those people who
Rogansphere drama slop time. We're going back to Too Lazy to Try. So I don't know exactly what's going on in the Rogansphere all the time. I watch some of these videos occasionally. Shane Gillis, I know, is the guy with he had that TV show where they're like mechanics or something, I think. Tony Hinchcliffe is this fucking loser. And I guess they have some problem with Chelsea Handler. I don't know what's going on here, so let's all just find out together with our boy Too Lazy to Try, as we got a person commentating on bottom right cornerception right now.
for those people who you think are going to play victim.
Chelsea Handler, and Chelsea Handler.
They are vile. Tony Hinchcliffe is like, come on. You were uncomfortable. It was gross. Some of the stuff is really gross. And I mean, I get it. I guess that's the spirit of a roast. But even, I don't know, I find it all to be pretty ick. So I just wanted to play it a little bit.
Is this for the recent roast against, who was it? Who was the roast against? I can't remember. Most recent Comedy Central roast. Was it like Chris Rock or something?
Their key, and while also eviscerating them and letting them know on behalf of women, really. Since this seems to be
Kevin
an
Hart,
epidemic,
maybe?
you know what I mean?
I think it was Kevin Hart. Now that I think about it,
I really since this seems to be an epidemic, you know what I mean? I really wanted to focus on the most kind of gross behavior. Not acceptable. And I'm not taking any of the joy out of it. It was a fun night. I had a great time, but I just don't think that kind of stuff is necessary. And I don't think it's funny. They're brutal to women and they're brutal to Black women. And it's just like so transparent.
All right, so the roast of Kevin Hart was last weekend, and Chelsea Handler and Tony
it was
Hinchcliffe
Kevin
were part
Hart.
of it.
Okay.
And you could tell these two actually hate each other. I think because they're both competing to see who can be the most insufferable comedian. But Tony might have met his match. Like, Chelsea's so unlikable.
I don't know though. I don't know. Tony Hinchcliffe, he is. I've seen so many clips of him just being a fucking asshole, like a rich, out of touch, and also look at this, like he's at the fucking Trump rally. Like, yeah, he's kind of, I don't know. He's very annoying. It would be hard for me to imagine. I don't know that much about Chelsea Handler though, but it's hard for me to imagine that she would be as annoying as him.
Even people who absolutely hate Tony could barely even appreciate her roasting him. There were some posts made about how Chelsea destroyed racist MAGA comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, but most of the comments are like, this lady sucks, she has no right to talk. And at least Tony thrives off of being a heel. You know, he likes to be offensive and upset people and be the villain. But Chelsea wants people to like her and now tries to be a social activist and politically correct, but it doesn't work at all. Like, some of her shows even get protested.
1 second. Chelsea Handler urging people to boycott companies tied to ICE operations like Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. I mean, sure. I don't know anything about her. I'd like, has she done things bad in the past or something? I don't know why people wouldn't like her necessarily.
Activists and politically correct, but it doesn't work at all. Like, some of her shows even get protested by the crowd she tries to paint.
Oh, she supports Israel. Well, then fuck her. Yeah, that sucks. That was in what, 2024?
Or two, because she's a Zionist, which before bringing her up, Shane Gillis, who was hosting the event.
Well, if she's a Zionist, then yeah, fuck her. I mean, like, Tony Hinchcliffe is annoying and like he aligns himself with fascists, I think. I don't know if he's openly, like, I don't know if he said if he's a Zionist or if he has stuff where he's like politically aligned himself with Israel or whatever. If he has, I mean, he's an asshole too, but yeah, if she's a Zionist, then yeah, that shit sucks. Then okay, cool.
Mentioned that she's a Zionist and went to an Epstein party, which I guarantee that got to her the most out of all the jokes made about her. Because then also her roasting Tony and Shane wouldn't work as well, because the people who want to see Tony get called out for being a racist and a Trump and Joe Rogan dick rider are also very anti-Israel. So Shane introducing her by calling her a Zionist made all those people be like, yeah, let's not give her credit here. You know, she's just as bad as Tony. I mean, it's crazy on Reddit. Even the positive posts people are trying to make about her roasting Tony, she was getting a ton of backlash in the comments. And people were praising Shane Gillis, which is wild to see because Reddit, people would say, is like the most woke platform.
Would be a much funnier joke if she herself wasn't a self-proclaimed Zionist. She sure hated it when Shane Gillis pointed it out that night. Makes the MAGA jokes a lot less potent when you're also pro-cruelty. Did he say Reddit is what?
Gillis, which is wild to see because Reddit, people would say, is like the most woke platform. And during
Reddit is? I got news for you. No platform is really that woke. Like, honestly. They're all owned and operated by billionaires, and they're all, you know, they all to some extent like suppress real populist outrage. Like, they all play their part in suppressing it. None of them are quote unquote woke. I think analyzing it that way is kind of stupid in and of itself. They're just platforms.
In the roast, obviously Shane made some pretty edgy jokes that people were getting offended by, like Chelsea. But I guess since Shane called her out for being a Zionist, people on Reddit were able to look past his offensive jokes. So some of the comments are like, I love that Shane brought this up. He knew what he was doing, and I don't think it came from a place of kind-hearted roasting, and it shouldn't. And I love how Shane takes his licks in stride, but she's all butthurt that he brought up Epstein and Israel murdering children. She looked shook going up there, and her jokes were weak. I think Shane is laughing that they aren't landing. So
I don't trust any of this Reddit stuff, by the way. Like, Reddit stuff is just, I don't know, man. They are so heavily moderated that you can make a Reddit that like a Reddit post that like make it feel like the people's popular opinion is whatever opinion. Like you could make a Reddit post on like why I support eating dogs or something, and if it's moderated well enough, you could like find some screenshots of everybody in the Reddit post being like, yeah, it's actually totally cool, like we should all start doing this. Like, you know, like you can make anything on Reddit look like anything. So that's kind of whatever.
So Shane bringing this up while introducing her was genius, and she was definitely pissed about it. I mean, the first thing she did was address it. And I'm going to try to play the clips from the roast, but Netflix can be strict with copyright, so I might have to remove them. If they're missing, it's because of copyright problems.
Chelsea is a Zionist. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Speaking of dead kids, she's a big fan of abortions. Chelsea's been scraped more times than the grill at Benihana. Speaking of tossing tiny shrimp into a child's mouth, Chelsea Handler went to dinner at Jeffrey Epstein's house in 2010. You can look it up. There's articles. It wasn't like a big party. There was like 7 people there. And it was like Prince Andrew and Woody Allen were there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Handler.
And I will say that those aren't really jokes. Those are just pointing things out. But yeah, I don't know. She sounds like she sucks as well. It sounds like everybody here sucks.
And just so you know, Judaism and Zionism are 2 different things. Kind of like how Chinatown and Koreatown are 2 different things, but your favorite slur works in both places. Shane has been accused of being anti-Asian, which is ironic considering he has the complexion and physique of a steamed dumpling.
And I'd imagine she was really just looking forward to roasting Shane and Tony, but it didn't go very well. Now she's all upset about it. I mean, there are articles and posts that are like, she destroyed them, but if you look at the comments, nobody really agrees. Even
Didn't
people
he already
that hate
say
Tony. So even the praise she gets seems kind of forced. Also, this is hilarious. Afterwards, she went on Don Lemon's show to complain about it and how they're too offensive and mean. And Don is like, man, I love that joke you made about Tony. It was your best joke of the night, or is the best joke of the night. And he plays a joke that wasn't even about Tony. So he thinks her best dig at Tony was a joke not even directed at him. Well, actually, maybe Chelsea did make it about him, but it didn't make any sense, and it wasn't even a very good joke. Because it's about how comedians that support Trump won't go fight in Iran, and they'll only go to the Middle East for the comedy festivals, you know, referencing the Riyadh festival. But Tony and Shane both turned down offers to do that festival. So this is really cringy. Don Lemon is like, oh, you own Tony. Look at how offended he is here. And then she has to be like, oh, well, actually, I don't think Tony did the festival. And Don just seemed out of it during this interview. Like, also at one point, he's like, all right, here's a clip of Tony Hinchcliffe, and it's a clip of Shane.
Is Don Lemon still working at, is he like self-employed now? Where does Don Lemon work? Yeah, he's independent. He used to be at CNN. Didn't he get fired for something? Here, let me see why he was fired. On April 24, 2023, CNN fired Lemon. His contract would have expired in 2026. According to New York Times, CNN had experienced difficulty in booking guests willing to appear on air with Lemon, and polls had shown his popularity among viewers had declined. Lemon said that the firing came as a surprise and that the network had failed to inform him in person, which CNN denied. This coincidentally occurred on the same day that Tucker Carlson was fired by Fox News. So I guess it doesn't say, I guess just bad ratings.
Gillis
up there, just kind of giving it to them because they were the Trumpsters, right? They pushed them and whatever. But that was the joke that you told about Tony Hinchcliffe and going to the Middle East was.
Look, you gotta, if you're going to go up there and do your, anti-MAGA comedy or whatever, which I'm all for, by the way. I am all for making fun of these goobers who align themselves with like MAGA. I think that, you should be taking them down any chance you can or whatever. But you gotta be competent and you gotta do it well and it's gotta land. If you don't, and you also have to have the credentials, I think, to be able to do it. Like, and I think that Chelsea Handler here like really failed in like every regard when it comes to that. Like I do want these people to be taken down a peg, but I think that we need a more competent, there's plenty of comedians out there. There's plenty of people who like wear their politics pretty well, like on their sleeve, like you know what their politics are, but they are and they are like anti-MAGA and stuff, and they can like hang around and joke with these people. I'd say like the easiest example to point to would be like Stavi, right? Stavi is clearly like a, like you could say broadly speaking, just left populist. Like that is what his ideology is from everything that he's pointed out. And he is, but he also can hang out, like I say, chud it up with the chuds and like have fun and like not, you know, not like be like annoying, I guess, about it as well. But I also think that he can rag on them pretty hard too, and like does it in a pretty funny, like competent way. And he doesn't have all of the baggage, I guess, that Chelsea Handler does for like being a Zionist and stuff. So I think that like he would be a much better addition if you're trying to have someone like give like a do like a anti-MAGA like sort of like set, or like not set but like roast here, like going against them. I think having someone like Stavi up there would be a lot better than Chelsea Handler here.
I think it was the most brilliant joke of the night. Here it is.
Now that your favorite leader is making the draft mandatory, I assume that all of you will be signing up to go fight in Iran. Or do you tough-talking pussies only go to the Middle East for comedy festivals?
It was that look at the end that got me. He did not. I don't think he liked it. I don't know if he was acting.
It seems like he was confused.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm not even sure Tony went to the Middle East. He was he? It was just that was just directed towards the group of them that did. Kevin did. Kevin went.
Yeah. This particular joke. This is Tony Hinchcliffe making a joke about you, and I think later you had to explain to him the difference between being Jewish and a Zionist. But here it is.
Chelsea is a Zionist.
And then she also addressed hanging out with Epstein during this interview, which she had dinner with him after he was already a convicted sex offender, so it doesn't look good. But of course she acts like she didn't want to be there. So also she complained about how Tony and Shane were too offensive, you know, they're sexist and racist, because Chelsea is so politically correct. I mean, again, people would say she has no right to talk if you look at some of the jokes she's made. Like, she complains about Shane and Tony's racist jokes, but she literally made racist jokes about a 3-year-old. For some reason, she really likes taking shots.
Then she started picking on Pax, a 3-year-old kid Jolie had just adopted from Vietnam. He probably doesn't even realize he's Asian. He certainly doesn't know he's going to be a horrible driver. That's tacky. Or that he's going to be amazing at doing nails. The audience laughed. Those are just like, you know, just like tacky racist jokes. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for, you know, having fun with edgy edgy comedy or whatever, like talking about things that have like a little bite to them. But you got to be funny, and these are pretty just like bare bones. Like, okay, did you get this joke in like the early 2000s? Like, we're in. I don't know when this joke was made, but yeah.
So Angelina Jolie's adopted kids. When her adopted son from Vietnam was 3 years old, Chelsea said he probably doesn't know he's Asian yet. He certainly doesn't know he's going to be a horrible driver and that he's going to be amazing at doing nails. So making fun of a comedian at a roast is too far, but making fun of a 3-year-old is fair game. But everybody knows she hates kids. Also, when it was rumored that Brad Pitt and Angelina were getting divorced, Chelsea said Brad has a drinking problem, probably because instead of hanging out with George Clooney and Matt Damon, he's stuck in a house with 85 kids speaking 15 different languages, and he's married to a lunatic. And Chelsea made a joke about another one of their adopted kids. She said he must be so pissed off. He probably thought he hit the lottery after being rescued by an A-list actress who's going to take him from third world Cambodia, only to find out she's going to take him to every other third world country in the universe. But of course now Chelsea's like, oh, I can't believe how rude comedians are. What's wrong with them for making offensive jokes? And she acts like the jokes about her during the road.
I mean, I don't necessarily get, like, look, I don't do the hypocrisy thing, man. If you can make a funny joke about these people, then make a funny joke. Or if you can make a funny joke about those concepts, then make a funny joke. I find it annoying when people do their anti-woke comedy and it's not funny. Like a lot of these Hinchcliffe people and stuff, they like the punchline is I said a slur. It's like, okay, congrats, that's not funny. Like I also think a lot of these people aren't actually doing comedy anymore. They're just doing like conservative podcasting in front of an audience. Like they just like say conservative talking points and then people clap for them. Like I feel like it's not even really comedy at that point. And so they're just like annoying. And I don't even care if you've had jokes like that don't land in the past, then you still have a right to criticize these people for making terrible jokes, like making unfunny jokes. Like I think that's I don't really understand this point that Too Lazy to Try is making, where it's like she made an offensive joke, or quote unquote offensive, I just say like annoying, boring joke, or like antiquated, like not very creative joke, I guess, with like the Asian driving stuff or whatever. And that means she can't criticize them now. I think she can criticize them. Obviously it sounds like she is a Zionist, so I don't like her for that reason. But she's perfectly valid, and also being an Epstein affiliate, that's a pretty big no-no as well. But I think that she's still allowed to criticize these people. You don't have to take it that seriously, I guess. I don't take any of this seriously, by the way. This is Rogansphere drama slop. This is like 2 tiers removed from like the actual like Joe Rogan, honestly. Like, so this is all just like nonsense. Whatever, but I don't know. I try to like give some sort of actual analysis and make some sort of actual point when I watch these. Just so it's not just me going like, oh, haha, that's funny. Or, like I'm trying to actually see if I can come away with something a little bit more deep than just like we're making fun of these like stupid comedians who don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to political stuff. But I don't know. I'm trying.
Roast didn't offend her, but they definitely did.
We knew Chelsea Handler would be available today because it's Mother's Day. She once dated 50 Cent, not the first time a Jew bent over for 50 Cent. She's aging like a vegetable in Lizzo's fridge. And she fucking sucks, and always has, by the way. Her whole act is just talking about how it's stupid to have kids. We get it, your ovaries are busted. That's like if Kevin's whole act was about how roller coasters aren't that cool anyway.
See, he's just not funny, man. Am I wrong? Like he is really not funny. Like these jokes aren't that funny, but like it's like I'm trying to find something to find funny about all this, and it's just not that funny. But to be fair, I think most jokes in roasts are actually pretty unfunny. Some of them, sometimes they get an occasional like banger, but most of the time they're in my opinion not that funny.
But seriously, Chelsea actually had her eggs frozen, not on purpose. They're just inside of a cold, frigid bitch.
They are vile. Tony Hinchcliffe is like, come on. You were uncomfortable. It was gross. Some of the stuff is really gross. And I get it.
Okay.
I guess that's the spirit of a roast, but even
I disagree with her here. Those weren't gross. They were just unfunny. That's one of the things I think some people misinterpret, like misconstrue like offensive with just not funny. Like those were not funny. I wouldn't say that they were offensive in the context of a roast. A roast is where you are supposed to be, making fun of people for the things that they may or may not be like a little insecure about. Like, and so like I think it's perfectly valid targets to hit when it comes to this, but it just wasn't funny.
Find it all to be pretty ick. So I just wanted to play it a little bit of a higher key, and while also eviscerating them and letting them know on behalf of women, really.
Yeah.
Since this seems to be an epidemic, you know what I mean? I really wanted to focus on the most kind of gross behavior that's rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you uncomfortable?
No, it's pretty hard to make me feel uncomfortable. I don't really care enough about any of it, but I definitely was like, this isn't funny. I don't think some of this is funny. It's like
well, it
I don't
wasn't
think
funny.
Jokes like that are necessary.
I agree with her. It wasn't funny. They could have made funny jokes about this, I think, about her, her act always, if that's what her act's always about, like about not having kids or whatever. I'm sure that they could have come up with funnier jokes. I think the surprising thing also is I think a lot of these jokes are just written for them. Like, so like I kind of would have hoped that like the writers at least would have been able to come up with funnier jokes. But yeah.
necessary. It's like, if you can't think of things to say in a more clever way, why would you ever make a joke about a noose? Like, it's just not acceptable. And I'm not taking any of the joy out of it. It was a fun night. I had a great time, but I just don't think that that kind of stuff is necessary. And I don't think it's funny.
And since Chelsea's a 50-year-old feminist with no kids, she has this really bad white savior complex. Like, she made this Netflix documentary about her white privilege, which was so cringy, and it was all about herself. And when her ex-boyfriend 50 Cent said he was thinking about voting for Trump, she said she had to call him and remind him he's black and can't vote Republican. I mean, it's also really creepy how much she infantilizes black people, which Matt and Shane actually talked about this on their podcast.
Okay, Miss White Woman. This is all very cringe. I'm not gonna lie. This is very, very cringe. I think I agree with Too Lazy to Try's interpretation here. If she did these things, like, white people in general have a really hard time broaching topics like privilege when it comes to like their race and stuff or whatever. I think that you shouldn't. This sort of stuff isn't what black people want. Like, I'm telling you, like, as someone who does know some black people, not a ton, but like I do know some. Like, my experience has been they don't want you coming up and apologizing about your privilege or whatever. You know, they don't want you, like, it's okay if you want to like learn about your privilege in private and make changes in your life to, you know, try to like recognize those privileges, or to try to do like to try and use your privileges for good, like for good, if you want. Like, I think that that's perfectly fine. But when you're going around making like documentaries and stuff like this, even like talking with black people about things like privilege or whatever is like pretty annoying to them, I think, in general, the people that I've talked to, because because it's more just like, just treat black people like human beings. They're not like a vehicle for your self-indulgence, and they're not a vehicle for your like for your vanity or whatever. And a lot of white people come to the discussion of privilege from a very like vain, like I want to make myself feel better sort of perspective, and you got to be really careful about that. So I just, yeah, this sort of stuff is super cringe. Don't tell black people like how they should vote either. Don't tell them that they should be Democratic Party loyalists. That's like come on, like we're way past that now. Like you can't just like, black people are not a monolith. Like, so, and it's just rude. And like he said, kind of infantile, or like, you're just like making black people into this like just mono group in your head. Is just not good. And this is a lot of this is just kind of cringe too. So this was a rough. This is making me not be on her side even more, I think. I don't know when this was made though. If this was in like these sorts of things were happening in like 2016 era woke, I think some people get a little bit of a pass, honestly, to some extent as well, because people didn't really. This was a lot of times the first time people had ever analyzed their privilege in a way, and so a lot of I think a lot of people have grown past this era of like woke politics, of like of this level of understanding of or like self-indulgent white saviors sort of shit, or like white centering privilege discussions or whatever. I think a lot of people have grown past that at this point. So I don't know if this was stuff she did back then, and maybe she's grown past it. I don't know.
She said she had to call him and remind him he's black and can't vote Republican. I mean, it's also really creepy how much she infantilizes black people, which Matt and Shane actually talked about this on their podcast years ago.
No, but I remember seast racist person. She did a whole show about like
confronting her white guilt.
Okay, so
okay, because here's the thing. I'm just gonna tell you guys, the average black person will much rather talk to someone like Shane Gillis or someone than this girl who's going around talking, like trying to have a conversation with you about her white guilt or whatever. like a lot of black people just don't want to hear it, you know, and I get it. Like, it's probably annoying as a black person who has lived under, you know, the systematic oppression that they have to live under in America, having to deal with a white person come up, like a vain white person come up and try to make themselves feel better by talking to a black person about how they have so much privilege, or like how white people have so much privilege and how they feel so bad about it or whatever. Just shut up and go organize or something. Go help your local you know, black community, or your local, if you have one, by the way, because a lot of these people live in, like, you know, white ass suburbs too, but like go help your local black community at their church drive or whatever. Like, get to know black people, and then like work, you know, do things that like they want you to do to like help them with various things, and treat them like people and not just a prop to to build your like woke brand on or whatever. Like, it's very, very cringe. It's very cringe.
She goes, no, but I remember seeing her show.
Least racist person, dude.
She did a whole show about like confronting her white guilt.
Okay, so
dude, she goes to a spoken word, like a poet jam, and then asks to speak at the end.
I'm filming a documentary, as you may or may not know, about white privilege.
And it's like,
oh my god, dude, just like invading, like I'm sorry, it feels like a colonizer mentality. Like, you're just invading a black space and then like talking about your privilege the whole time. It's so cringe, dude. I can't take it. Oh my god, I think that like I don't know what goes through these people's heads, man. I swear to God. It's like, I think their heart's in the right place. Honestly, I think that their heart's in the right place, but they're so they end up like revealing a lot, like their racist mentality more than they ever like thought they could, like by doing this stuff. Man, it's rough.
Just want you to know that I'm sorry. It's a bunch of black people like,
what the fuck?
I think somebody even criticizes her on that, which is good for them.
She's like, oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, she's like, true, this is actually true.
Speaking of love being admonished and whipped, dude. Well, she apparently must be, I guess her white privilege special gave her the necessary powers to remind 50 Cent that he's black and should vote Democrat.
Oh, she did that publicly?
Yeah, he was like, fuck this, dude, 60%, I'm not paying this shit, this is bullshit. And she was like, I had to remind 50 Cent he was black.
So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump.
Which, you know, maybe she's...
Yikes, dude. I mean, yeah, that's like monolithing black people again. I think that, honestly, she has that classic, I think, liberal racist mentality. That the like blindside woman, like liberal racist mentality that like and it's I mean, Martin Luther King talked about it, like how I think it was him who said that like he would rather, you know, be around a just open out like anti-black person as opposed to like a liberal racist, because at least the person who the non-liberal person will just like, he'll just tell you like, yeah, I don't like black people or whatever. But with liberal racism, it's very like subtle and like very and it's like hidden behind these like fig leaves of like being progressive and whatnot. And it, in this regard, it like in this particular circumstance, it's just really, really cringe.
Kidding, but it's like,
no one on earth needs to remind 50 Cent that he's black, dude. That's literally like, if you wanted to pick the blackest dude on earth, maybe it's 50 Cent.
Also, Chelsea said she can't be racist because she dates black people, because a bunch of people accused her of being racist when that movie 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture. Chelsea used it as an opportunity to promote this book about her trip to Africa called Uganda Be Kidding Me, and she got a bunch of backlash for it, and she's like, come on, I date black people, I'm not racist. So she is something else, but then she loves calling out everyone else for being racist. Like during the roast, she probably thought as a white privileged lady, she needs to call out Tony.
She's the type of person who, like, you know, that dude from Get Out, or the girl from Get Out who like goes around trying to find black people to date so that she can bring them back to the place and like chop them up and like put her dad's brain in or whatever. Like, she gives that vibe to me. Like, I think she might like fetishize black people to some extent too.
Tony and Shane's racism. Like, she made jokes, of course, about Tony being gay and racist, which were all right. You know, they're decent jokes, but to act like she owned them or destroyed them is ridiculous. Not even people on Reddit agree with that, and they obviously hate Tony.
Tony is what happens when women don't have safe access to abortion care. Tony and Shane both live in Texas where abortion is illegal. But on the upside, if you see one of them doing comedy, there's a pretty good chance your uterus will start dry heaving on its own. Tony is a real guy's guy, or what's more commonly known as a bottom. But it actually looks a little bit better in person.
Oh, yeah, that one was pretty good. I think that one was pretty good.
You must be using Crest white supremacist strips. Tony and Shane, this must be so exciting for you guys. Usually on Sunday nights, you just burn a cross on someone's lawn. And tonight you get to roast a whole black guy. Well, a half of one, because it's Kevin. Tony, quick question. If you're here tonight, who's keeping Joe Rogan's balls warm in their mouth?
Dude, that's a pretty good joke. That's a pretty good joke, because he is he's like one of those little sucker fishes hanging on to Joe Rogan's, like, Joe Rogan is like one of those like manta rays, and like he's like one of those little sucker fish that like attaches onto him.
So there's definitely a beef between Tony and Chelsea. We'll see if it continues from here. But let me know you guys think about it, and check out the Patreon account. I just posted a new video on there about how Tim Dillon and Alex Jones exposed the UFO.
Okay, well, there you go, people. That's the latest in the Rogansphere drama slop around Kevin Hart's roast, apparently. I hope that I gave some insight. I hope that somebody came away from this with something. I don't know what. I think that I had some good insights, but it's always a difficult. I think that some of that can be a little bit of a difficult subject matter for people to grapple with. So, okay, guys, it's already 2 hours and 20 minutes into the stream. I think that I'm honestly just going to go ahead and call it with that one. I didn't really expect that last segment to go that long. So, I hope everybody out there is having a great day. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. And this has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.